look, it's you know, you're a very you know, all round everything's really good. You know, your hands are great. One of the only things that happened right towards the end is sort of your thumb crept up when you're playing those chords, and you know, there are a couple of tiny things that, you know, in a piece like this, every little, you know, bit of sort of muscle relaxing that can happen is going to help. Otherwise, it's impossible. You know, it's so demanding and physically so hard. You want to make all the stuff that's a little bit easier, you want to make even more relaxing so that you can rest and save up your energy for some of those bits where you haven't got that option. And in this piece there are a few of those where there's no alternative. It's just damn hard, and there's no alternative. So you know, things like that, as soon as the thumb's up over here, it's not supporting your fingers as well as it could be, which means that you're pressing down a little bit harder, hands getting a little bit more tired, and then you've got something challenging around the corner. It's harder to play it.
Yeah, I definitely notice my hands tensing up, especially those arpeggios, and moving up the fingerboard, and that definitely restricted my flow quite a lot.
And different to when you're practicing on your own.
Of course.
Yeah. So, and you know, like for you, and for everyone, when you're performing, record yourself, play to as many people as possible, just to, you know, as we've said before, to experience that all the time.
I actually do record some of my practicing, especially for a piece like this where it's segmented. And you can play all types of different temperaments per different variations. I've just been recording variations and kind of got numb to recording. So
well, that's good, and you know, that's the, you know, I think all of us will agree that you may have felt tight and nervous, but it didn't sound like it. You know, so that's exactly why we do that, and it's good that you're numb to recording, and you know, even though you're a little bit more nervous and tense in this environment, it's nowhere near as debilitating as it could be. So that's fantastic. The other, I mean, this is minute little technical detail. A few times you started veering away from the frets that you should be next to.
Yes.
And again, you know, so with the left hand, you want to get as close as possible to the fret that's further away. And you know, if there's a little bit of, I always tell my students, if you can't, you know, close your eyes. If you can't feel the fret there, you're too far away. So you have to, feeling the fret allows you to be in that zone where you do as little work as possible. Physically, that's the lightest place to get a very pure, clean sound, and your hands do less work in that, you know, in that position. And again, accumulated over in a piece like this, you know, if you're doing 10% extra work throughout, it makes a really huge difference. So for you as a player playing stuff like that, that sort of thinking should be really, really important. It's like, I'm not into cars at all, but I assume that Formula One driving is like this, when you've got huge speed and you're thinking about, you know, centimeters in terms of cutting corners and making these transitions smoother. You know, it's a similar kind of detail with the sort of playing that you're now capable of, and the sort of pieces that you're working on. You know, musically, I thought a lot of things were really great. We're always talking about legato, so there are moments where you know, it felt like it should be more, you know, melodic lines should be more connected. So again, that's a little bit more work, a bit more tension for longer periods. You know, connecting those arpeggiated notes, so important. You know, and you want, you know, the thing about a piece like this, you know, most of us have heard it played on violin, and it's unbelievably exciting. And there are very difficult things, obviously, about it as a violin piece, but a lot of it sounds effortless compared to what it sounds like on a guitar. And actually, I should say vice versa. There are a few variations that are easier on the guitar than they are on the violin. But you don't want this to sound like a struggle. Obviously, you want it to sound like it's a walk in the park for you. Can I have a look at the one of the variations? I just want to check the rhythmically what you're doing here. Yeah, variation 5.
Okay. Yep.
I think a little bit straighter. You were sort of going. Those semiquavers in between were very distorted. Tempo. Can you play how you played it before? I'm sure it'll be a little bit different now, but. Okay, so can you? What are you trying to? Can you play it slower, just and play it slower so that we can all hear what's written? So and rhythmically it's bum beat a bada bum bum bada beat a dum bum beat a bada bum bum. So it's sort of heavy on the downbeat. Bum beat a bada bum bum. Those top notes, the octaves, are actually almost like little sort of accompanying colours. It's almost like the melodies in the bass here. Think of it that way.
Okay.
And as metronomic as possible, okay? A little bit under tempo, one more time. So, dum and 2 and. Oh. So yeah. It's bum, beep, boop, bop, bop. Okay, so look, let's do it really, really slowly. This is, I think you've just, sometimes this happens when you've been playing something really fast for a long period of time. It's easy to turn it into something else. So it's just dum, dika, daka, dum, dum, bop, 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 bum.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. Now can you do that again? Repeat one more time and really bring out that melody. Don't cut it. Bum. Don't cut any of those bass notes off short or too short. Good. Good. Keep on going. That's what it should be rhythmically. Obviously faster, but you sort of bent it into something that's actually a lot harder. So simplify it for your sake. Like
when you get better at playing and all that sort of stuff, then you want to create your own musical ideas and all that sort of stuff. And it's a fine line. Like you don't want to play like a metronome, obviously, but then if it gets a bit too far away, your interpretation gets a bit too far away from what's written, then it's a silly thing. But like if I was to transcribe how you were playing it before, I wouldn't write that rhythm, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where it's sort of become
something else,
which is not necessarily always a bad thing, but if it's too far away from what the composer kind of has written, then that's when you kind of go, like you need to kind of rethink how I'm playing it a little bit, But those things can happen without you even noticing. That's what the trouble is. So it's often somebody else has to come and have a listen and say to.
When you're on your own, like a metronome is there to help you with that. Lenny and I we talk about this all the time. Even with pieces that we've been playing for 20 years. And so you think that you know it pretty well, but if you don't go back to the music and you don't go back to occasionally playing it with a metronome, over time, it morphs, it keeps on changing into something different. So you need that reacquaintance with what's actually there. Play it with the metronome at slow speed, faster, at speed as well, because that's what the composer intended. You know, so that you become re-familiarise with yourself with that, and then of course play it without the metronome, and it's going to be a lot freer, and it'll move around. You're very musical, so you know you could practice with the metronome 100% of the time, and when you turn it off, you'll be fine. You're not going to sound like a robot or anything. It'll, you know, only good things will happen if you practice more with the metronome. It's incredibly valuable. We do it on a daily basis with everything that we're, you know, whether it's an old material or something new that we're learning. That's your best friend. And yeah, with this section, just be careful that some of those melodic notes are on open strings, and others aren't. And so when it's on an open string and it rings for longer, just because of the, you know, physically it's possible. Again, that changes musically what's happening there. So either play it somewhere else, or make sure you dampen the strings so that those bass notes are you know, have the same concept.
Yep.
It's so weird when one of them rings, and purely because it's an open string. Always ask what the musical reasoning is for something, and if it's because it's on a particular string. If it's a technical reason that's making you play musically in a particular way, usually that's the wrong approach. But look, there's so many good things going on there. Well done. What are you going to play next?
I'll probably take a very long break after grinding out this piece for like a few months.
Yeah. For me, like the last comment, and this is again sort of more detailed sort of thing. Just do you play with nails or no nails?
Oh, nails. Yeah.
You have nails. Sorry, I couldn't really tell. Yeah, I mean that's something now. I think your tone is good. There's definitely lots of nice elements. I mean, whether it's sort of the guitar or whatever, there's, I think that will take your playing to sort of just the next level, kind of getting a bit more sort of a deeper, kind of richer sound. So I don't know exactly what it is right now, but it's not, what's it called? Yeah, I think that the tone is something that you can definitely, that you have room to work on. And then, in a piece like this, there's so much happening that it's sort of hard to think of everything. But if there was that extra element as well, of just a bit more, well, I don't know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. Like, this is what I was discussing with Ron a couple lessons back about how, like, I could elevate my playing with a different guitar. Yeah, and so
is that guitar new or?
It's pretty old.
You've had it, yeah.
I've had it since I don't know 7 years.
Yeah, look, I think for your level of playing, and the way that you are playing, it would be suited more to another guitar. Like I hate to say it because it's not. I'm definitely not saying just go out and buy a new guitar. It's not about that. There are some instruments that like if I played that guitar, I know I'd be making it buzz a lot, but I'd have to play it differently to make it sound, get the sort of the best sound out of that instrument. But the way you're playing at the moment, you need to get something that gives you more of that sort of edge, because you're really sort of trying to. You can tell you're doing a lot of work. And I think sometimes the sound is not always representative of that.
It's peaking.
It's peaking.
You're trying to drive it more, but it can't go beyond a certain point. And sometimes there are people that have an amazing tonal control, and so everything's back. It's not as loud, but they can create that sort of range on a guitar like that by playing less. Playing's not as exciting, certainly dynamically, as a result of that. But you know, in terms of transparency and tonal variation, there's still a lot in there. You know, I think for you it'd be easier to, rather than change tonally, you know, how you're doing everything, it'd be much easier to get a guitar that allows you to do that naturally without thinking about it.